All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. We are glad that you're here for this info session. My name is Gaurav Shekhar, and I'm the program director of the Graduate Business Analytics Flex and online programs. I just saw that somebody could not hear me. Can somebody give me a sound check? Sivi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much, guys. Okay, why don't we take a moment and maybe just in the chat, put where you are joining us from which city or country, whatever you feel like putting. But let's go ahead and do a quick temperature check in the room and see where we have our attendees from. And while you do that, just want to lay out the agenda. We'll spend a few minutes on the presentation, just talk about the business analytics program, some of the important dates, application, etc. and all. And I'll take you through the catalog for another few minutes, and then we'll straight away jump into your questions. The best way to ask questions is putting them in the chat. We wish we could let you unmute and ask questions, but in the interest of time, because we've got an hour, we will keep it that way. Just put your questions in the chat and we'll make sure that we answer all of them. This session is being recorded. It'll be put on our YouTube channel for the school. So you will have a recording of this just in case you want to go back. All right, I see a lot of cities there. So Vishakhapatnam, Noida, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Coimbatore, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Lucknow, you see Kerala. Okay, well, Divya is joining us from domestically from here. Vamshi, Hyderabad. Excellent. Dallas, Texas. Wow. Great mix of cities. You know, all the cities where I've at least I've not, I wouldn't say I've lived, but I've definitely visited them several times. So good to know that all of you are joining us this morning. All right, the business analytics program at UT Dallas. Now, even before we jump into what this program is all about, I want to throw a question out, and this is something we all should ponder. Why business analytics? Why in the world do we need business analytics? UT Dallas offers about 140 degrees, and business analytics is one of those degrees. So in the world where you have so many degree programs, and I'm just talking about UTD, there are other universities with all sorts of programs. Why do we need business analytics? And the simple answer to that question is this four-letter word, data. Now, several years ago, and this is the 70s we're talking about, the biggest thing that happened in the 70s was that the computers entered our homes. Computers were no longer entities that were only used by big corporations or government bodies, but they were used by private sector as well. They were used by small and medium industries as well. They got into our homes. The PC got into our homes. The 70s or early 80s was more about, okay, we need to write programs because we need to do one thing, that is managing data. The core reason why we write applications or we write programs is just one thing, that is to manage data. So we were always in the business of data management. It was more about, okay, how do we set up databases or how do we make sure that we have good databases? And that's where companies like Oracle and all came into existence in the 70s, where, okay, the focus was the technology. But as we progressed, and we are now in late 80s or early 90s, the question is, we have heaps of data. What do we do with all this? And one thing that we know is data is never deleted. It's not like, oh, we're done with this. This is old data. Let's throw it away. No, every piece of that data is saved, archived. But the question was, what do we do with this? Is it just basic archiving or record keeping, or can we get insights out of it? And that's where the companies that are leaders, they came out and they said, okay, we can definitely look at historical patterns. We can look at what worked, what did not work. Was there any cyclical patterns? Was there any way for us to know what we did well and what we did not do well? See, at the end of the day, any organization wants to increase their profits. And one of the ways to do that is also by reducing your losses. A penny saved is a penny earned. So that's how people started looking at data beyond just records. They started building models that help them not only just analyze what happened in the past, but also help them forecast what the future would be like. And that's one thing that any organization needs, the ability to predict the future. And to do that, you have to somewhere learn the language of data. So that became a need. Now, when a need arises in the industry, the first thing that they do is, okay, let's bring in trainers that will train our employees and help us learn something. But the speed at which this need was growing and the speed at which people were getting trained was very different. And it was always a catch-up game. So at one point of time, the throughput, which in other words was the amount of training and the amount of knowledge built up that was required to navigate through these heaps of data, was not the way the industry had figured it would be. They were still lagging. And because they were lagging behind, they turned to one person that could solve their problems and that has always solved their problem, academia. So as a major, it's not a very old major. In fact, the first program in the United States came in the year 2007, before everybody else in the world thought that, yes, we need business analytics. So yes, after 2007, the next 7, 8 years was when a lot of institutions started adding a business analytics degree program to their catalog. And that's how in 2014, UT Dallas uh, started the business analytics program. We are right now the largest business analytics on-campus program in the country. Close to 1,800 students are there in the program, and we have other flavors as well, and we'll talk about it in a few minutes. But it is the largest program, not only in terms of students, but also in terms of course offering. We'll see the catalog, but just to give you a glimpse of it, if you have to take 6 electives, you have more than 80 choices to take those courses from. So that widespread the whole catalog is. But talking about the need for business analytics, going back to the original question, whether it is a sector that is intensive with computers, or there's a sector like finance, the financial sector, or healthcare, or real estate, everything requires applications. Applications create data, they manage data, and there is a dire need to use that data for decision making. So that's where anywhere you see data, you require analytics. Now, there is a problem still that's out there. There's a dearth of qualified professionals. We don't have enough people who can really help leverage the power of data. So for you all who are trying to get into business analytics, you're actually at the early end of the curve, which means that in terms of the longevity of your careers with analytics, you are really set there. Because if I look at how a degree program will help you or how long will it help you, analytics is right in front of everybody in terms of how long a particular degree can help. Because whether you're an intern or you are the CEO, you require knowledge of analytics. The program here at UT Dallas, we have 3 basic themes: flexibility, engagement, and our focus on outcomes. We are flexible because you can take your classes in the day, you can take it in the evening, you can take it in the afternoon. You can decide how many credits you want to take, what the pace of the program should be. You can finish this program in 9 months if you want to do it. You can take 6 years. Nobody takes 6 years, but you have all that time. If you're a working professional, yes, you can do this part-time. You want to do this full-time, you can do this full-time. All that flexibility is afforded to you. Engagement is a critical piece. And we take a lot of pride in how engaging the school here is and how engaging the program is. There's never a moment where somebody says, well, we have nothing to do in the program, because we know for a fact that for you to be successful, a lot is supposed to happen inside the classes, but there's a lot that has to happen outside of the classrooms as well. Senior executives from companies, they visit us every week. On a daily basis, you'll have some or the other company coming to do some kind of an activity. It could be a guest lecture, it could be a judge for a competition, it could be a recruiting activity, it could be just a coffee chat. but you will have access to those executives right here in the school. And then we are very focused on outcomes. When we do something, we try to go back and see what did we do well and what we did not do well, because we want to make sure at the end of the day, it is helping you with your objectives. And it's not just another it's not another activity that just takes some time and you spend your time there. So in the Flex program, there are 10 tracks. The MSBA Flex program is our state-funded program that has 10 tracks in it. It's a 36 credit program for students who do not have any US work experience. In the first semester, you'll be asked to do a professional development course for 1 credit. But out of the 36 credits, 18 is core and 18 is elective. And I'll jump onto the core piece in a few minutes. But electives, we've got 10 tracks there: accounting, cybersecurity, data engineering, data science, decision operations, financial, healthcare, marketing, social media, and enterprise systems. You can choose how many courses you want to take from these tracks. You can take all your electives from one track. You can take one course from 6 different tracks. You decided. You don't have to declare anything. It's not something that's put on your degree, but you can choose how you want to take your electives. It's a STEM designated program, so which means if your employer is looking for STEM designated professionals, there you go. If you are an international student and you're looking for that extended work benefit on your student visa, the STEM designation helps it. As I said, we are the largest in the country. There's nobody even close to us in terms of the number of students in an on-campus program. The average starting salary is $100,000. And this is for people with 0 to 2 years of experience. The more experience you have before you come into the program, we are seeing a very high packages. I mean, the tail on the higher end was somewhere between 250 to 300K in the last few years. There are dozens of companies that partner with us. And when I say partner with us, this is not like, oh, sure, you get our Christmas card. These people are working on projects. They use us as advisors. They're billion-dollar companies, okay, most of them. They have problems in their organizations, they come to us. They want to engage with us, they come to us. They are the ones who are looking at the curriculum. We talk to them on a regular basis. We're doing projects with our students. They're hiring from us. They are strong partners. They're on speed dial, literally. That's how it is. The return on investment is high, and this is not just us saying that. UT Dallas is ranked #1 in the state of Texas in terms of return on investment. And business analytics within UT Dallas is right at the top when it comes to return on investment. The simple example is any financial institution will give you, let's say, an education loan to cover all the costs, and they'll give you a 7 to 20 years of repayment period. Our students are taking in a lot of cases, less than 3 years to pay it off. The people who are paying it off in a year because they're getting the kind of salaries that help them very comfortably pay off their loans. And it's not like that they have to live like a minimalist. They are really spending, they are leading a comfortable life, they're supporting their families, and they're paying off their education loan as well. So there is a high return on investment. And a lot of institutions that give loans to our students do give them loans because they know they're coming to us. They know the fact that a student who comes to the business analytics program will end up with higher salaries. So they're able to do that. Almost 600 internships were pursued last year. The average pay was about $30, which is in line with what full-time pay looks like. So as an intern, what you earn is 50%, or I would say as a full-timer, what you earn is twice of what you earn as an intern. So somebody earning $30 an hour is like $60,000 as an intern. But when you become a full-time employee, it's 120K. So it's in line with our averages as well. And we have seen this number go up significantly in the last couple of years. There are 3 different flavors of the program. So the Flex program is the one that has all the 10 tracks that are available to the business analytics students. It's a mix of face-to-face and online classes. I would say it's an 80-20 ratio in terms of the modality. It's self-paced, so you can pick the way you want to go about your courses. You can pick the sequence as well. The only thing you have to take care of is, well, you make sure you take the prerequisites before you take the actual course. And those prerequisites are part of the program itself. So it's not like that those are additional credits, unless there is a program prerequisite which is put on you, but that's a rare case. It's state funded, which means as the tuition goes, as the number of credits go up, the per credit hour rate goes down. It also means that at 12 credits, there is a tuition cap. Students can take up to 18 credits in a semester, but at 12 credits, after that, credit number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 is free. That's because this is a state funded program. We are a public institution and it's a state funded program. We have two other flavors as well, which is cohort and online. Flex has all the 10 tracks. Cohort, out of those 10 tracks, focuses on two of them, which is data science and accounting analytics. The mix is same. There are some online classes, and then most of them are face to face. It's also self-paced. The tuition structure is different. It's fixed. Depending on your residency. If you're an international student, it's a different rate. If you're a domestic student, it's not international, but out of state tuition and in state. They're different and they're fixed. Online is purely online. So if somebody is looking for a 100% online experience, we have the data science and the data engineering tracks. Uh, the modality will be 100% online. Again, it is self-paced. We just received our new rankings for the online program. We are number 3 in the country. We were ranked by Forbes, which ranked us at number 3. So this is right off the press, our latest development. But those are the 3 formats that you have. GRE, GMAT is required, but waivers are available. So once you apply, you can, depending on your undergrad degree, you can go ahead and request a waiver. But if you're looking for a scholarship, then either a GMAT or a GRE score is required. What are some of the requirements? As I said, GRE GMAT is one thing. Waivers are available, but they're given on a case-to-case basis. It's not a blanket waiver. So once you apply, you will send an email to jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu. And you'll just, a one-line email should be good that you have applied. Here is your application number. You'd like to request a waiver. They take about 10 days to review your application and your request for a waiver, and then they tell you whether you got the waiver or you did not get it. If you didn't get it, it's not like your application will be canceled. You'll be just asked to submit a GRE or a GMAT score. Transcripts are required. Unofficial ones are okay for us to make the decision. So if you have scanned copies, send it to us and we can use that for our decision. But once the decision is there, you'll be asked to submit official transcripts, which means official, they should come from your institution. They should be attested. Don't submit your originals. Attested copies that are sent to us either through mail, where they put it in an envelope, they're attested. The envelope is stamped on the seals and it is sent to UT Dallas. Or if your undergraduate institutions does want to send it directly to our admissions team on the email, attested copies, that is also accepted. Or there are some online services like True Copy, Parchment, through which you can send. It's more like a platform on which every institution is, and they can share documents between systems. So that also is accepted. We need your resume. We need 3 letters of recommendation, out of which one should be from a working professional. Now, whether this professional has worked with you or not is immaterial. The person should be a working professional. And the others could be from your professors, your deans, directors, whoever it is, your academic ones, but the other ones have to be professional. You can submit all 3 of them from professional contacts, people who may have worked with you or are working in the industry. We also need a personal objective statement. The limit is a page, double spaced, but if it goes beyond a page, not a problem. We will accept it. Don't go too much beyond a page. Be succinct in your essay. Tell us exactly what you need. A good personal objective statement is one that talks about why UT Dallas, how is the degree going to help you in the future? And we just need some clarity from your point of view as to why you want to pursue this degree. And that's what is required. Now, you may be applying to different institutions for different programs. Please make sure that it's not just the name of the institution that you change in a personal objective statement. A personal objective statement is a very important document that is it's a conversational response to why you want to be at UTD. So please write it well. And again, it's not that we are looking for very exquisite use of the English language. Simple statements that tell us why you want to come to UTD and how this will help you is enough. Scholarship applications are separate for the MSBA Flex program. Once you apply to MSBA Flex, after that there is a separate application that you'll have to send for this. The deadline for fall 23 is May 1st. I would not recommend waiting until May 1st because scholarships are awarded on a rolling basis, and we have already started giving out scholarships for fall 23. So by the time we reach May, we may have very few scholarships left over, and the bar might be really high to give it out to people. So as soon as possible, please send uh, make sure you are admitted, your scholarship application is in, and your official GRE or GMAT score has reached UT Dallas. Unless we have all the three of this in place, we will not be evaluating. Now, the evaluation also happens in a very different way. So let's say the committee meets and they look at your application and you have not made the cut to be given a scholarship. They are not going to reject you. They're going to put your name back into the pool. And next time when they come back, the criteria is lowered a little bit and they review again. If you make it this time, well, you get it. If not, they will put your name back. They'll do it continuously until the last time when they meet. The last time when they meet could be anywhere between, I would say, mid of April and mid of May, depending on how many uh, scholarships are left at that point of time. Whenever they run out of scholarships, that's when they will send out a rejection email. And that's kind of close to the second half of April or the first half of May. That's when you get it from fall 23. The scholarship essay is part of your scholarship application. And this is the Dean's Excellence Scholarship. Again, talk about how the scholarship will help you. Now, if you say that this is going to help you financially, guess what? 100% of the people out there have a financial need. So just saying that you have a financial need doesn't help the committee know why you should be considered. Your GRE and GMAT is important, but that's not the only criteria. Contrary to popular belief, if you have a higher GRE, you'll definitely get it. It's not like that. They look at everything very holistically. They look at your, if you have any work experience, they look at your undergrad degree, they look at your GRE, GMAT, they look at your scholarship essay. All of that is taken into consideration together. Yes, higher scores do uh, increase your probability, but they are not something that will guarantee. A high score can get a rejection because you're not the right student for us. A lower score, but then there are so many other things in your application that are good, might still get an acceptance. TA-ships are not available from the first semester, so any incoming student cannot apply for a TA-ship from the very first semester. However, you can uh, apply for a TA-ship for your second semester, and the applications will be open while you are in the first semester. But as an incoming student, you would not get it. The reason is simple. We need a UTG GPA, and plus courses that we will assign you to as a TA, you need to have taken those courses. Quick glimpse into what we did in summer 2022. We are right now working on getting our data for the fall 22 internships, which should be published very soon. But a semester before that was summer. So about 300 internships, 262 different employers. 97% of them at least worked for 21 hours per week, all the way up to 40 hours. The average salary was 27.7, and the highest was about $71 an hour. $71 an hour is like 142K. Some of the companies that hired from us this past summer, so Amazon, EXL, Genpact, Copart, USA, Spring ML, and like that, we had lots of employers. As you saw, 262. A lot of them just hired one intern. But what it tells us is that students from our program go all over the place. They are hired in potentially, possibly every state in the US. So the titles that were offered to students, so data analytics intern, data engineering, data science, data analyst, these are some of the common ones that we see. But BI engineer, BI interns are the other ones as well. Some of our students even become software developer interns, which is fine because there's a lot of programming that happens in the program, so you can take up those roles as well if you want to. Don't believe us, believe what's out there. That's unmoderated, the LinkedIn stories. Hashtag UTD MSBA. That's what you need to look at. And those stories are first-hand accounts of students as to what they've been doing in the program. Please read it because there are thousands of stories for you to know what it takes for a student from our program to work in these companies. Okay, these accounts are great accounts of what they have been doing. I mean, you might have a dream company that you want to go to, and the question is what it takes to be there. Well, there's a story out there probably that can help you with that information. Hashtag UTDMSBA, search for that on LinkedIn. We have more than 350 student organizations at UT Dallas, 70 of them in the School of Management, and these are some of them that has our students. You know, SAP, Salesforce, Project Management Club, Women in Technology, Toastmasters, Cybersecurity, Marketing Analytics Club, Envision, which is Data Visualization, Intelligence Analytics Society. I mean, you name it, whatever you like, there should be a student club. These are run by students, they're operated by students, and this is a great way of polishing your leadership skills. But who doesn't want more money or value for more money? Well, the bonus certificate programs are a great way to increase the value of what you're getting back. So these certificate programs are kind of micro degrees. They're carved out of our degree programs. And what you do is you take the 3 or 4 courses that are required for these certificates, get an average 3.0 in those courses, and you get an additional diploma, an additional graduate certificate from UT Dallas. You don't have to pay additional tuition. You don't have to do anything on top of what you're already doing. Just the combination of those courses have to be taken. Now, yes, you have to enroll in those programs separately, but guess what? There's no application fee as well because you're already a current student at UTD. These programs by itself are worth $20,000 depending on your residency. And you get these certificates for free by just taking those courses. So that is a big bonus here. These are some of the certificates that our department offers. I mean, business intelligence, data mining, applied machine learning are 2 of our most popular ones, but cybersecurity, enterprise systems, and enterprise systems at UTD is all about SAP. We are the oldest member of or one of the oldest members of the SAP University Alliance, so you get the cutting edge access to cutting edge, my apologies, technologies that SAP offers through our enterprise systems. And of course, healthcare information technology certificate. Our direct phone numbers and our contact information, if you don't have it, we like responding to your emails, send your questions. This is a big decision. And we know this is going to be a life changer for you. So whatever questions you have, don't have to shy away, send it to us. Before I go to your questions for today, I just want to quickly show you the catalog page. And we'll have this link put in the chat as well. But the core courses that we have, every student has to go through these core courses. The 3 questions any company will ask you as an analytics professional. What did you do? What happened? What will happen? What do you recommend? What happened? Advanced statistics will cover that. What will happen? Predictive analytics will cover that. What do you recommend? Prescriptive. And then will it make money? Is it a financially valuable model? Applied econometrics and time series helps you with that. How do you manage your data? Database foundations. And then finally, the modeling piece is helped by business analytics with ours. So any student who goes out of the program at least has this on their back, which means that you don't have to worry about whether you'll work in a team or you'll be an individual. You have a lot of information and knowledge to take into an organization. And it really swells our just with pride when somebody comes and says, well, we had a great student from your program and is helping us build our analytics practice. Those are the days we really feel that there is something major, something big that's happening here. But the rest, you can have a look at this at your leisure. The link is in the chat, but every track has about 8 to 10 different courses. And courses that all help you with that particular, with those concepts, those principles, those frameworks that you want to learn. for that particular track. For example, we have data science track there, very popular, machine learning, NLP, big data, advanced business analytics, modeling for business analytics, deep learning, RPA, causal analytics, data visualization. I mean, you have tons of choices. At one point of time, you'll be like, there are too many courses I can take from. I don't know what to take. And that problem is a good problem to have. And we kind of solve that problem all the time for students. But yeah, I just wanted to spare a moment to show you that. And I will just quickly jump into the questions. All right. So I've Albin's question. I've been admitted to the
No,
MSBA.
you have to jump back up to 8:30 a.m.
Oh, that's the first one that I'm seeing.
Scroll further up.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Is there an 8:30 question that I may have because I don't see it here? Let me see.
So what happens after a candidate submits his or her application, and by when will the candidate know the outcome of his application?
Okay, no, that's a good question. So again, any application that is sent to us, it takes about, so officially it takes about 4 to 6 weeks, but our admissions team is really on fire with things. Anybody raising their hand, just put your questions in the chat, please, because in the interest of time, we'll make sure that we read through the chat. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks for them to really come back with a response. They're pretty fast on that. But if you're looking for a GRE waiver, then what happens is that it takes about another 10 days for them to review your GRE waiver or GMAT waiver before they can start reviewing the rest of your application.
When will the I-20 be sent? After paying any confirmation fees, do we have to show the finances in order to receive the I-20?
Yes, so you are required to show finances. If you have a scholarship, it's about $37,000. It's 36 change. And if you don't have a scholarship, it's $52,000. You have to show either through your savings, through your sponsors, that could be your parents, siblings, or somebody in your family. Even an education loan letter counts. So you have to show that you have those funds. You send the documents. There is a form on the ISSO's website that you can fill out, attach all this paperwork, and they will issue an I-20. Once they have the forms and all, it takes them about 7 to 10 business days to issue an I-20 for you.
You might have already answered this, but can you please discuss about the process in depth after accepting admission, such as transcript mailing, I-20 steps, scholarships, decisions? I think you've covered all of those.
Yes, but we do have a checklist as well that is out there for students, and we'll just put that in the chat here. But that checklist tells you what are the steps. Technically, once you get an admission, and you accept it, you ask for an I-20. Once the I-20 is issued to you, you are working on getting your what do you say, your visa slots to, if you're an international student, and that is something that you do on your end. And all the visas, the consulates will issue different appointments. But to get even started with the process for the visa, you need I-20 from the institution, and that will be issued to you once you have your financial paperwork submitted.
And then they followed up with how to check with your assigned advisor. So I share that the schedule for fall will not even come out until March. Registration will not
Yes.
begin until April. So you do not need to check in with your assigned advisor until much closer to April, but your assigned advisor is simply jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu. That is all of the graduate advisors, and anyone who has access to that email can respond to your question and help you, but there's no need to contact them now. They're busy
Yes.
dealing with spring registration. And so wait until we get closer and there's registration orientation that will be happening. You'll be able to attend. They'll go over things that tell you how to
Yes.
register, who to reach out to. But that, yeah, you're so ahead, but slow down because we have to catch up with you.
And the other thing is we understand that on the admit, it says that you need to reach out to your advisor. You don't have to do that immediately because we have these sessions planned for you, and we will do that over the course of time. Mostly these sessions are conducted in March or April, and keep an eye on your UTD email. The other thing is, once you're admitted, any communication you do with us should be through your UTD email. So please keep an eye on that, because whatever we plan to send to you, whether it's your I-20, whether it is any invitation for an orientation, will all be to your UTD email. So till the time you're on top of it, you're good.
I know this
Okay,
question is going to come up multiple times, but we'll answer it just this one and then we'll skip the rest. Can you provide a fee waiver code for the application?
there is none. Being a state institution, we cannot offer fee waivers. I know there are a lot of institutions, especially the private ones, that do that, but they're just trying to jack up applications. That's the reason why they offer that. We cannot do that. But once you are admitted to UT Dallas, any future programs that you apply to, you don't pay the application fee. It's just the first time that you have to do that. Okay. Did
Where
we?
did yours pick up, Albin?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, Alban, I've seen that I've been admitted to MSBA Flex program. I wish to change from Flex to cohort. You can just apply. If you want to change between any programs, you just need to apply again. Okay. What's the difference between tuition, between Flex and cohort? If I apply the Dean's Excellence. So again, both the programs have different scholarship structures, but I will talk about the Flex program. The Flex program is such where if you get a Dean's Excellence scholarship, and if you're an out-of-state student, that means you're not a Texas resident, the difference between in-state and out-of-state tuition is about 2 times. Dean's Excellence scholarship recipients get the ability to pay in-state tuition for 2 long semesters. And what it does is it literally halves your tuition. So that's a major saving. Any person who gets a Dean's Excellence Scholarship based on the number of credits you take will end up saving anywhere between $15,000 to $18,000 in one academic year. That's number one. Number two, irrespective of whether you have a scholarship or not, irrespective of whether you're a resident or not, as the number of credits in a semester increases, the per hour credit goes down in the Flex program. And as I said before, there's a tuition cap at 12 credits. So even if you take more than 12 credits in a semester, you only pay for 12 credits. So that helps there. Uh, I hope that answered that question. Moving on. I do see a few hands going up. My apologies, but if you can put your questions in the chat, that'll be great. We have too many questions to cover here, so we just want to make sure we're using the time efficiently. If you have a moment in the end to take questions directly, we'll do that. Okay, Aditya, I've received an admit for MSBA Flex. I want to know how to apply for scholarship. We will put that link in the chat if it's already not there, but there is a separate application as I talked about it, and you just have to submit that. That essay is very important. Please make sure that you think about why you want this scholarship. As I said, only talking about the financial need isn't going to really make any much difference, because we know 100% of the people, I mean, anybody, if you're given a choice whether you like to pay tuition or not, nobody likes to pay tuition, right? So the financial need is always there. But beyond that, are there any scholarly activities that this can help you with? Write about them, and maybe that will help augment your application more. But yes, it's a separate application. Anuj, the program page mentions GRE is mandatory. Is the waiver available? As I mentioned before, yes, it is possible. Once you submit your application, just send an email to jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu requesting a waiver. They look at waivers from a case to case on a case to case basis. Lishan, I've submitted my application in October and received an admit within a few days, fall 23, but that time while applying for I-20, I didn't get an option for after contacting. They advise I need to keep it as 23 screen. I'm getting Lishan, if you have an admit for fall 23, you should not be receiving uh, a spring 23 I-20. What I would recommend is kindly send us an email separately about your case, and we'll see what can be done here. But if you have an admit for fall 23, you should be getting an I-20 for fall 23 only. You may have been too early in the process, and the thing is, there is a time frame in which they open the request for I-20s for certain semesters. You were probably very early. October is very early. It's almost a year out. So that's why they don't have that open. Swati, I have 2 years of work experience in the field of analytics. Can I opt for? Yeah, sure, you can do that. Again, one of the major criteria for the GRE waiver is your undergrad degree. We'll see what kind of stuff you've done there. There is very, uh, I mean, if I have to convert professional experience into somebody's ability to do something, it's very difficult. Two people can say, oh, we have been data analysts for 2 years, and yet you could have a very, very different journey altogether. So it's very difficult to really quantify work experience. Somebody says they've been a SQL developer for 6 months versus 5 years. Who knows SQL better? Maybe the one who's been doing this for 5 years was just restarting bad jobs that failed for 5 years. And that can happen. The one who has just been doing it for 6 months maybe created the entire uh, ERD for a new application and helped deploy it. Now that experience is very different. So work experience in years cannot be quantified towards academic ability. For GRE waivers, yes, we do look at your resumes to make sure that you know what you have done, but your undergrad degree is something that we really look very closely at. Madhulika, the batch size again for business analytics, that depends. You know, we recently welcomed about 250 students in the Flex program. Uh, we Last fall we had close to 650. These are big batches, and a lot of them were people who deferred. But generally, pre-COVID, we used to have 300 to 350 students come in one batch, and we can afford to have these big batches because we have so many courses to offer, so many sections to offer. I mean, just an example, stats and databases are two courses that students take in the first semester. We have like 16, 17 sections that we offer for those courses. So because we have the ability to have big batches, we are able to have big numbers of students come and join us. And that's what most of the institutions don't have that. I mean, they will probably have one or two sections, mostly one section of a particular course. So students are kind of forced to take the courses that are offered in the way they are offered, and there is hardly any flexibility just because of the program sizes. Okay, application code waiver, that was answered. When I was applying, I couldn't figure out where to send my official IELTS score. Is it mandatory that I have to submit only official score? Well, the code for UT Dallas is given out there for IELTS. Again, there are 46 countries that are exempted from submitting anything for their English proficiency. If you are one of those 46 countries, please go ahead and you don't need to submit any IELTS or TOEFL or anything of that sort. You get an automatic waiver. You don't have to request it just because of the country where you've done your undergraduate uh, degree. And we'll put that link in the chat for that the English proficiency. Okay, what is your perspective on the effect of AI, ChatGPT on the future need for data science or business analytics? What is your perspective on how university programs will adjust, improves in, well, again, it's like this. When calculators came, everybody was like, you know what, everybody will lose their jobs because we now have calculators and we'll not use log tables or we'll not do calculation by hand. ChatGPT is a good thing. It's a new thing. It's out there. The effectiveness is yet to be found out. You know, despite all the cases that we see out there, yes, whenever something new in technology happens, it really helps a lot of industries pivot. It's too early to say how it'll pivot, what it'll look like. Again, ChatGPT is not a competitor. Okay, it's not like everybody will be using ChatGPT. To be honest, even forget academia, even companies have to see how they will be using something like ChatGPT. Because if academia is affected, then technically every other industry is affected. Then probably we can run a huge company that required 10,000 employees. Instead of 10,000, we can just use like 50. So that's not the case. It's a new tool. It's a new supplement that will be used. But how academia will really turn around and make sure that um, it uses something like ChatGPT and envelops it into the curriculum is something to look forward to. Another thing I would say is, see, at the end of the day, a university is helping you develop approaches. A university is helping you develop how to do something. Okay. Uh, Just an example with analytics itself. Long ago, you would sit with tables, you would do all the modeling by hand. And then you had all these great tools that helped run regression in a few seconds, in a few minutes. Did we stop doing regression or did we stop teaching it? We did not. There was a new technological advancement that helped us teach it better. So we evolved. And that's what is going to happen even with things like ChatGPT. Is ChatGPT the end? Is the last thing that we will see? Not really. But what it'll do is some of the things that we use to teach students, uh, you know, in a certain way, that will change as to how the industry adopts things like ChatGPT. And there are so many other things around AI and machine learning and natural language processing that's going on that everybody, including academia, has to kind of pivot, and we will. So I would say it's too early right now to say how this will disrupt it, but definitely we don't see any technological advancement as a threat. It's more like a supplemental help that we need in our programs. I hope that answered it. What is the general minimum GRE? There's no minimum. There is nothing. It all depends on the pool. We don't want you to have a 280 on the GRE, which of course, whether howsoever we do, we'll never accept that kind of a score. As I said, a low GRE or a low GMAT doesn't mean no, and a high GRE or GMAT doesn't mean a yes.
When you said your comp, and she, like, that person was like, "What? No, we have y'all's address. It's 9,000."
Shreyas, I got admitted into Flex. Am I applicable for Terry Foundation, FAFSA, federal grants, work study? A lot of this depends on residency. A lot of this depends on whether you're a US citizen or not. Depending on that, your eligibility would be. I would say that look into those pages and see if you meet the criteria. The criteria are mentioned very clearly, and if you meet that criteria, you can definitely apply for it. We do have students who do apply for it, but then a lot of these uh, things require US citizenship. For example, FAFSA. If you need that, you have to be a US citizen. But then there are a lot of other scholarships other than the Dean's Excellence Scholarship that becomes available in the second year. Also, there are programs that allows students to actually go on some kind of academic, uh, like the Archer program. It's around public policy, and irrespective of whether you are a US national or not, you can still apply for it. That will add some additional courses to your coursework that you'll have to take, but there are things that you can do whether you are a US national or not. Okay, I think I answered that. What about people with 2 years of experience? How many LORs? It's the same number of LORs, 3, in which at least one should be from a working professional. That person could have worked with you, could not have worked with you. But always ask people for a reference who have been your supervisors or have seen you in a supervisory capacity, or in some way where they're not your peers. Peers in the sense, well, I have my junior and I want to ask this person to write uh, a letter of recommendation for me. Maybe not the best person to ask. A peer who has extensively worked with you in some way is a good candidate. What are the next steps after admission? So we just talked about that, Shiva, plus the checklist is put in. I was told by a current MSBA Flex student that we're needing. Yes, so you do need, as I talked about it, we definitely need an essay for the Dean's Excellence Scholarship. And the link for that is in the chat to apply for the Dean's Excellence Scholarships. Is it possible to get a scholarship if you don't get it in the first semester? Absolutely. Now, every continuing student can apply for a scholarship in the fall semester. So and spring and fall scholarships are only available for incoming students. Incoming students can do it in both the long semesters. However, if you're a current student, continuing student, you can only apply every fall. how do I submit my acceptance of the... So if you've got a scholarship from the Jindal School, the Dean's Excellence Scholarship, your email is good. It suffices for any documentation that you need. However, the school also sends the ISSO an update on the people that they have given scholarships. So give the school about 2 weeks. They will have that sent out to ISSO periodically, and ISSO will have it updated on their end that a student has received a scholarship. The scholarship application that the school uses doesn't talk to ISSO. So the school has to manually send a list to ISSO, and it takes about 2 weeks. Not that it's very difficult for them to send the list every day, but then over a 2 week period, they're giving out scholarships. So they wait for a few days before they send an email to ISSO telling who all has got a scholarship. Okay. For the scholarship, I didn't get any particular essay, and so I got a form to fill the first part and then followed by a 10-15 essay questions in the second part. That is right. That's the one. And I am going to put, I believe that link is there already. Scholarships. Here is the link. What's the cost of part-time flex for Texas residents? Now, again, as I said, it depends on the number of credits you take, but if I have to just estimate it for 2 courses, should be close to between 5,500 to $6,000-ish for 2 courses. That's what I remember off the top of my head. Can you please scholarship research? We talked about that, Ashik, that you cannot apply for teaching assistantship in the first semester, but you can do it from the second. Scholarship, I've put the link down there. Any kind of research assistantship, mostly it is for our PhD students. But if you want to conduct independent research with instructors, once you're here, you can talk to them. I've paid the application fee as well as submitted my GRE officially, but the to-do list has it. Well, give it a few days. It gets updated. Once you've paid the fee, the reconciliation happens after a few days. And your GRE, once you submit your GRE from the ETS portal, it actually takes about 2 to 3 weeks for UTD to even receive it. It may say that it has been sent, but it takes some time. So give the admission team some time. Once they receive your GRE score, they take about a few days. Now, not a whole lot, but 2-3 days to just vet it, and then they check off the requirement. What's the cost of full-time for flex for international students? Now, depending on your scholarship, your number of credits, it can range anywhere between $40,000 to $65,000 for international students. We've got a webinar coming up next Thursday, which is February 9th, and we are going to talk about the different ways through which you can fund. You should already have an invite, and Monday they'll send another one just to remind people of that webinar. Please join us for that. That will help us, help you in terms of knowing how to go about planning your finances. Is there any internship requirement in MSBA? Absolutely. You have to complete an internship before you graduate. We want to make sure you get that experience, but that if you don't get an internship, then we have a course that you have to take, and that course, we do have industry professionals that come with their projects that you get to work on. So we give you some flavor of an internship if you don't get an internship. What's the cost? We just talked about it. So I'm going to skip questions that we have already answered in some way. Nikita, if you have received an acceptance, just give it a few days before you apply for an I-20. You can apply for an I-20, but the ISSO won't be updated until about a week or 10 days. So if you want to just wait for those a few days, about a week, do that and then submit your paperwork for I-20. But in the meantime, you can always work on making sure that you collect all the documents required. If you're unable to log into your UT Dallas email, just Google new to UTD or UT Dallas email, and it will help you get to that particular link that can help you in setting up your UTD email. Siddharth, you're right. Students from India are exempted from English proficiency requirements, so you don't need any TOEFL, IELTS, or anything. India is one of the 46 countries. All right, so I'm going to put a link in the chat, which is called New to UTD. And what it does, it gives you some of the information that you need, especially around setting up your mail and all. Please use that link. It has some great guides out there to help you with your email. How much amount, Albin? I talked about it, 52,000 without scholarship, 37,000 with scholarship. I do not have any programming experience. I have finance experience of 3 years. Will it be? Not really, Divya. In fact, people who come with finance background are very much suited for analytics. In fact, you will see a lot of correlation in what you have already done. We do have boot camps. We do have additional sources through which we make sure that students get basics right before they even start their programs. It's a graduate level course, so the speed will be a little faster than an undergrad program. But in most of the foundational classes, things are started from the basics. So you should be able to get at least information as to how you can get started. But as I said, boot camps and additional resources, and we give you access to things like data camp and all that help you build up. It is totally possible. In fact, I would say easily 1/5 of our students come with no prior programming background and they do very well in the program. Rishi, I've already applied and submitted for MSBA Flex. On my to-do list, GRE shows as required. Selected no when the application asks if I have taken the GRE. Well, it will be required. So again, it doesn't matter whether you've taken the GRE or not. The application requires it. If you don't want the GRE, you'll have to submit a waiver request. We will have to waive the GRE requirement for you. So if you're going to go for a waiver, please go ahead and submit that. So just send an email to jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu. Can we send transcripts electronically? Yes, you can. Have your university undergrad institutions send it from their official ID, attested copies to UT Dallas. You send it to admission, it's a singular word, admission@utdallas.edu. Is 15 years of education acceptable? Yes, we do. You're talking about 10 plus 2 plus 3 is acceptable, absolutely. And your experience will also help with your application. If a candidate is offered admission, there's no confirmation fees. You don't have to, there's no seat fee. That's what a lot of institutions call it. We don't need that. You will be given a chance to enroll in your classes, and then according to that, you will be billed, and close to the start of classes, there'll be a deadline to pay for the courses you're enrolled in. You have all the time until the start of classes to really to accept. But remember, your acceptance is connected with your I-20s and other stuff. So if you are serious about UT Dallas, accept it, get your I-20, because if you're an international student, you will need more time for your visa and all. If you're not, if you're a domestic student, we need your confirmation before we can start enrolling into classes. And enrollment opens in April, around April. And you'll get more details about the exact dates as we get closer to that. Once you have sent your scores, official scores, whenever UT Dallas is able to vet them, they will just check it off the to-do list. That's how you check it. And as I said, it takes 3 to 4 weeks. It depends on how IELTS and ETS they send the scores. So that could also be a factor. Yes, the essay that I'm talking about, they've kind of broken it down into questions now. I still end up saying essay, but yes, those questions. Minimum GRE for scholarship, there's no minimum, but our average has been 310 to 312, and generally the GRE is more than that. Abhishek, once you have applied for the scholarship, depending on where you stand in the pool, you can know within a few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, all the way until May 1st, depending on how strong your profile is as compared to others. As I said, you are not rejected if you don't make it the first time. You're put back in the pool for reconsideration multiple times. The state funded program, and is it applicable? State funded program is simple. I mean, the flex program is a state funded program, which means the tuition is determined by how the state of Texas feels the tuition should be. The benefit is if you get a scholarship or get a teaching assistantship, you qualify for in-state tuition, which is half of out of state. The other thing is the more credits you take, the per credit hour rate goes down, and 12 is the tuition cap. 12 credits is where the tuition is capped. You take more than 12 credits in a semester, you don't pay tuition for the extra credits. 3 LORs are required, but I read online at least one is, so I submitted one. Well, the requirement is 3. Himanshi, you might want to just send a separate email just to clarify what you have submitted is acceptable or not. Okay, we are at the top of the hour, so I'll quickly go through something that I may not have touched at all. There is no application fee waiver. Can I apply for a scholarship? No, you cannot. You need a GRE or GMAT for you to be considered. What should your next steps? We talked about that. There is a checklist as well given in the chat. I've submitted my application for scholarship, but I do not see, well, the questions is the essay. Applied for fall 23 and got an I-20 for fall 23, but I get an email saying my records. Bhargav, send me an email about your situation. You may not have, or maybe the records still state that you're a spring 23 student. So please send me an email separately. How much in dollars will be required for the eligibility? 52,000 without scholarship, 37 with scholarship. Minimum undergrad GPA, well, you need a 3, but if you are lesser than that, still apply. We might see that there are other elements in your profile that can be used to grant you an acceptance. As I said, low scores doesn't mean a no. There are other things in your application that can help. We just talked about minimum GRE. After admission for fall 23 classes, when will so the enrollment begins close to April. That's when you can, and you'll get information about your particular enrollment appointment from where your enrollment period officially begins. It's different for everybody, so keep an eye on your UTD email. GRE score can be sent to 6897. And please make sure you're sending it to University of Texas at Dallas. There is a University of Dallas as well, which is separate. It's a different institution. Don't send it to that. What document should I show to bank for taking a particular loan? Well, admission letter is the number one thing that you need. And then kind of calculate your requirement. I would say a good amount would be, I mean, you want to always go with the worst case scenario. So about $80,000, send them that request for about $80,000 and see how much they can approve. A lot depends on your credit history as well in your own country. So the types of scholarships an incoming student can go for is the Dean's Excellence Scholarship. MSBA flex duration is 16. No, it is not. It is 9 months is the least, 72 months is the most. And most of the students on an average, they spend, I would say, 3 to 4 long semesters, which is like 17 to 22 months. If your score, GRE or GMAT score is beyond 6 years, yes, we cannot accept that. They have expired. I've applied to MSBA, however, I've submitted only 2. Is there a way to add? Yes, you can. You can just send the third recommendation to jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu. Can we submit the official transcripts after? You can, but just make sure they are in envelopes that are sealed, stamped. They don't contain your originals, but attested copies is what we need there. How do we email for GRE waiver. We discussed this at the start of, so if you may want to go back to the recording later, but jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu is where you need to send an email to. Right for Scoberg. Abhishek, once you get the results for your scholarship, that's when you will be able to. I mean, you can still apply thinking, what is the worst that it is? $52,000. You can, if you show that, you can still get a loan, or your I-20 for that matter. And people who get a scholarship, sometimes the scholarship results are late for them. They get an I-20 without a scholarship, and later you can always ask for a new I-20 which reflects your scholarship. What document should I show to bank for taking a loan? Your admit is definitely important, and after that, uh, maybe a tuition estimate that you can get from our website itself that tells them how much money you need. I would strongly recommend joining us on February 9th for the financial planning webinar that is only geared towards how do you plan for your finances. Scholarship decisions are rolled out on a rolling basis. Every 2 to 3 weeks, we have a new set of scholarship recipients. I have a very low GRE score, but very strong reason for a scholarship. GRE is unfortunately required because we need something that can standardize. I mean, it's one of the factors that we use, but we need it for across all the scholarship recipients, something that it's standard to everybody. You can come from different universities and they have different criterias, and different grading scales. So a GMAT or a GRE score helps us in standardizing our candidates for scholarships from an academic or one part of the academic perspective. So we definitely need those. My email address is gaurav.shekhar@utdallas.edu. Look for me from your UTD email and you'll find me there. Last day to apply for Fall 23. Regular deadline for admission is May 1st, but if you submit an application after that also, we will consider it. There'll be a $75 late fee. But if you're looking for scholarships and all, and for domestic students, it's just $1,000. But if you are an out-of-state student, you could be a US resident or a US citizen, but you are not a Texas resident. Out-of-state tuition will apply to you. For all of that, if you are an out-of-state resident, I would say please apply for your scholarships as soon as possible, you know, by mid to end of March, if possible. Uh, Harin, please look at the new to UTD link that I have given. That will help you with your questions around how do you log into your UT Dallas email. And if you're still not able to do that, the same link also has the phone number, the live chat, or the email to our Office of IT that can help you in fixing it. I'm saying international grad to do items, country as required in enrollment. What does it actually mean? Sai Krishna, we put a checklist a few minutes ago. Please check that checklist. That will help you in understanding what exactly is required. Can I apply for scholarship after getting admit or before it? You can send an application. The committee will not look at it until you're admitted, until your official GRE GMAT scores are sent and your application is received. They need all three before they can do it. What's the difference between full-term session and 8-week session? Well, some courses are not for 3 credits, and that's where we have 8-week sessions. You know, you don't need the entire semester to do a 1-credit course, like your professional development course that is required in the first semester. It's an 8-week course just because it's 1 credit. But any 3-credit course, any regular course that you take for the program will be for 16 weeks. That's the difference out there. You can all apply for on-campus jobs as soon as you come to UT Dallas. Once you're enrolled in courses, we use a portal called Handshake. Your profiles will be created there and you can start looking for jobs. You can only get a job once you're on campus. So even if you're doing it outside of UTD from your home countries, you cannot really apply for them until you're here. Okay, well, that was good. We are at the end of all the questions that we could possibly take here. We'll put a recording of this on our Jindal YouTube channel. Please go forward, look for watch the recording if you have more questions. But if you have questions for us, please email them to us. We are here to help you with your questions, and we hope to see you again pretty soon. We do this every month, but please, for financial planning webinar is due on February 9th. We are going to have that only focusing on your financial planning, how to go about loans, what are the different types of students, what's the kind of money that you will need. Any questions around your tuition, your affordability, expenses, we will cover it there. So I will see you at another session or through your email or in a few months, whosoever is here. And that's what happens. We tell that to our current students. They all started through an info session. So we're glad that you spent your time with us today. Well, have a good one. Have a great weekend. And we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.